I'm Kaylee Keeker, the Executive Vice President for the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce, and I want to take a moment to thank again our sponsors who actually make these types of events possible for the Hollywood Chamber. That we're able to do this caliber of event and attract this type of an audience and speakers is because of our sponsors, so thank you very much. Next, yeah, okay. To our sponsors. Next on our program is our small business panel. And so we'd first like to welcome to the stage our moderator of the small business panel, Richard Pink, famously of Pink's Hot Dogs. We'd also like to bring up to the panel Jackson Brissette of BARDAS Investment Group, Helen Cavallo of Food and Bounty, and Jen Ryan of Funko. If you want to grab your seats, Richard, I'll let you take it away as our moderator.
I think they wanted somebody that represents small business. Well, Pink's has been around for 83 years. Thank you. We are family owned and operated, and a lot of the things that is necessary to make a small business successful through all those years are true for the small businesses that are up here on the panel and the hundreds of small businesses that are in Hollywood, and I'm sure that you're all part of them and recognize the importance of product quality, employee service, great atmosphere, and some of the risks and challenges that small businesses face, financing and growth and how to market properly and how to connect with customers. And we're going to try and touch on those subjects in this panel here. And first, I was going to talk to Jen Ryan, who's got a fabulous store called Funko. And, you know, she's got a great product. She's got a great location. And I wanted to ask her, you know, at Pink's, we're always about marketing. We're just never, everyone says, oh, you got a long line, you take it for granted. Never take a moment for granted. We're always thinking, how can we bring customers back? How can we get new customers to come? And I guess that's my question to you. How do you reach out to the marketplace? How do you advertise? How do you use social media? How do you connect with your customers to bring in and generate the businesses necessary to support a 40,000 square foot store?
Well, first of all, I'm very lucky because Funko is a very large company, but as a part of the retail, I have to run this location as it is a small business because our headquarters is up in Everett, Washington, and retail is a very, very, very small division of what Funko is in general. And so being here in Hollywood, making sure that we are getting our name out, especially in the times that we've all lived through, and it's a challenge to be a business manager and director in retail. We want to be able to get our customers into the store and make sure that they're feeling safe and make sure that they're feeling welcomed. Meanwhile, we're busting our tails in the background, making sure that we've got the appropriate posts on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, and making sure that we're supporting our upper level management up at our headquarters, but as well as making sure that we're taking care of the customer down here. What I have found, and since we're in Hollywood, I feel like I can use this reference, the most important thing is that old Fabergé commercial that Heather Locklear was in. Maybe I'm dating myself, but when she flips her hair and she said, and I told two people, and she told two people, and so on and so on. I think that's imperative right now in retail in general, is making sure that when the customer walks into my store, my team is trained, they're welcoming, and they want that customer to feel the exact same way when they walk in as when they walk out. Because we are so blessed to have social media. We are so absolutely lucky to have these immediate gratifications that pop up on our phone or that pop up on our laptop or that our kids talk to us about, right? And making sure that the minute they walk out of that store that they are talking about, oh my God, I have to be at Funko Hollywood. You've got to go. There's something for everyone. From your 75-year-old mom to your 3-year-old cousin, every single person needs to be in there and find their joy.
So how much do you balance between selling in the store versus online?
So Funko Hollywood itself doesn't do any online business because that is a completely separate section of Funko. That is where Funko began, was selling online. The biggest challenge actually was getting people to want to come into the retail stores. So it's very different than most businesses where they'll start and they'll do a retail presence and then they'll move to online. We did it the hard way, so to speak. So we don't sell anything out of our store. Everything is talking to people and actually utilizing those customers. Our Pop Yourself feature, for example, I don't know if, has anybody been into the Funko store? Okay, you have, just a few of you. Okay, so I need to get more of you in. Let's start there. Jen.Ryan@Funko.com, come get a hold of me. You must 100% come in to make your own pop person. That has all been fueled by word of mouth from our customers, and you get to go in and you completely build your own person, and it's going to be a little mini you in a little blazer or a little shorts or tank top, and that is all from word of mouth from our customers.
So when a customer comes in, do you have them write down their email address, their phone number? Do you connect with them later?
We do have a registry system that we do, but we don't utilize it that much. We honestly, to be completely and honestly fair, we tell them hashtag Funko Hollywood, and that hashtag will take you everywhere.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say, I've been up on your website. It's really exciting. So, do you have a social media director that touches on
we do have
Instagram?
a complete social media account. We have our own Hollywood Facebook page, which is run by one of my dear friends who's here with me, Nikki Lee Cox. She runs our Hollywood Facebook page. But our corporate office, yeah, give her a shout out. She's the one out there that is filming the lines that are around the store and showing everybody that, you know, come here, this is an exciting place to be. But we do have a completely separate social media account for our upper level. And they're the ones that do the releases that you'll see. Oh, here we're having, you know, Whitney Houston is our newest pop, or we have a new Loungefly bag coming in. And if you don't know who Loungefly is, look them up online because they're one of our partners and they're amazing. So,
you know, we do a lot at Pinks with celebrities because everyone comes to Hollywood. They want to know where the celebrities dine, where they get their hot dogs and all that. So how do you get the permission of these celebrities to do their pop-ups?
We have an amazing licensing department, and we have, it's a small group of very strong, very smart women who, yeah, you can share that, who go in and they work with the studios and they work with the celebrities themselves. We've also gotten to make some really great connection using one of our founders, Mike Becker. He has started to do a really quick internet spot called Pop Talk, where the celebrities will come in. Most recently, we had Henry Winkler. What a joy that was. I did geek out a whole lot while he was there. I was like, the boss is here. But they come in and they have just really quick conversations about, you know, what is it like to do what you do? What is it like to be who you are? What is it like to be popped? You know, and then they will walk around our store and they meet and greet and they have such a great time. So it's a pretty cool thing that we do, and you can check that out on Funko's YouTube. Thank you, Nikki. YouTube page. Nikki's also one of our hosts of Fun TV. So.
Well, I have to say, you know, small businesses need passion, love, enthusiasm. You capture all that, Jen.
Do what I can. I'm very lucky to be fueled by great fans, and I think you can attest to that too. If people love being where you work, then you are able to send more love out the door with them. And our world right now needs a lot of love and joy, and maybe that's schmaltzy, and maybe that's me being a mom, but I think it's 100% true. We need to be comforted, we need to be together, and if you love what you do, it shows.
Well, it's surprising. At Pinks, the majority of our employees have been with us over 20 years.
Yes.
And some 30.
That's amazing.
So, you know, you got to create that right atmosphere because the customers feel the vibe and they feel these people like each other and their family and they want to come back because of that. Yeah. So our next panelist is Jackson Brissette. Fascinating because he's developing Hollywood and he's investing in Hollywood and taking the risk and going out there and, you know, doing what is necessary to get through the approval process and the financing and figuring out what tenants want in this creative marketplace. So tell us about how you decide to design an office building for Hollywood. Yes. How is it that you create that inviting environment that tenants say, I want to locate in your building, not in somebody else's?
Yeah, so it started, we're a little bit different than the typical developer who might just build a high-rise or a low-rise box and would lease it to any tenant. Our idea was we partnered with a private equity fund, and our idea was to come in and create an ecosystem in Hollywood that caters to specifically media and techtainment. And so, you know, how do media groups use real estate? There's a number of ways. It's Netflix, big sound stages, creating feature films, TV shows, down to small photographers, right? And we want to create an ecosystem that captures all of that. So we have large soundstage properties with office. We have smaller, more bungalow projects. And the goal is once it's all built, you could be a tenant in one part of our portfolio or another and interact with another company. And our portfolio of 1.5 million square feet could act as the entire media landscape in one portfolio. So we target media and techtainment companies solely, which is very different than other developers. So I think that having that targeted niche is really unique. And design-wise, it's, you know, even pre-COVID, we were outdoor space, indoor-outdoor programmable areas. We're in Southern California, so you want to be outside, you want to collaborate in a nice environment, and we want to create flexible floor plans that can have tenants as small as 2,000 feet up to 30, and really create this portfolio that is a collaborative portfolio. So that's how we're doing it.
And so how does your office space differ from traditional office space? Forgetting the studio for a moment, just the office.
So we try, and obviously this is a little bit towards the financing, which, as you know, sometimes the developer does not want to put in money into an interior space that a tenant would come along and say, well, I want it, but now I'm going to blow all this out because I need to do something different. So we're trying to speculatively create in common areas or interior areas things that these media groups like. Edit bays, writers' rooms, inset studios for a game show or a cooking show versus a small photography room, and again, having all those options. So we want to be able to market something that is specific to media tenants, and they really feel like we are kind of in the room with them from the start, and we didn't just create a box and say, whoever wants it, do what you want.
So everybody here is concerned about financing, getting the capital necessary. Your firm obviously has the courage to go forward. How do you find the financing market right now? Are lenders willing to take risk on developers and other businesses? What are you finding out there?
It's definitely a winners and losers story of two worlds. So I think for typical traditional office, a lot of lenders have just said, I'm not touching it. I'm actually selling off my portfolio of office. But I think there is a story in certain markets because lab science is technically office, but people love lab science right now. And I think that content creation and office or sound stages that are geared towards content creation because of the macro implications that consumers are demanding more streaming services, consuming more content. I think that's a little bit different. So we've seen on our projects that there actually are lenders willing to lend on our deals because they think that the demand story is better than, you know, a Fortune 500 insurance company.
And in terms of Hollywood, we see studios being developed downtown in the Arts District and all over LA. Why have you focused on Hollywood? I mean, I know the name is so glamorous and people want to go to Hollywood, but what is the reason that you got the courage to say Hollywood's our focus?
I think for the same reason that Ted spoke about it, it's definitely the most innovative area of media users in LA, and we felt like there would be an above average premium on absorption and rents if you deliver the right space for those types of users in this market. Hollywood also tends to be, in LA, the area where there's more obsolete buildings and land for purchase and aggregation than Santa Monica, for example. But it's mostly the backdrop of the innovators here, the history. This is where media tenants want to be. And then as well as our founder, David Simon's experience with his project at Columbia Square, Academy on Vine, and his history here kind of set the backdrop.
That's great. Okay. Well done. So, thank you. Our next panelist is Helen Cavallo. She has a restaurant and catering business that is known as Food and Bounty. Fabulous name, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Wow.
And
I got a blessing. Thank you. I'll take it.
And Helen, although she's got a great business going right now, she is now starting to expand. And we're all thinking about, well, what's my next location? How do I do it? How do I manage it? And so forth. How do I decide if it's the right location or not? So let's talk about your expansion plans.
Okay, well, thank you.
What criteria? How'd you do it? How are you going to run it?
Well, it's a little bit of luck, I think, and a lot of hard work. So we're at, our first location is at Sunset Gower Studios, and we run a cafe. We serve breakfast and lunch every day, and then we do catering as well. And prior to these past few years, we were doing like huge catering events for, you know, the Netflixes of the world and a lot of tech companies. And we, you know, are happy to report that this year we just opened at Raleigh Studios. So we're kind of doing the studio tour. Mm-hmm. We're doing the same, you know, same menu, same type of thing, and our philosophy is kind of simple. It's like, people got to eat. So let's feed them.
That's how my parents went into business.
Right.
People got to eat.
Yeah,
right.
We got to eat. And, you know, I grew up around that philosophy. It's like my family, big Italian Colombian people were like, hey, when we were eating breakfast, it was like, what are we going to eat for dinner? You know, so we were always talking about food. And so it kind of made sense that I would like open a restaurant. So we're there. It's a kind of a good model because we're in the studio. The kitchen is the heart of every home, so we've become kind of the hub, sort of. So we've been talking to our landlords at Hudson Pacific Properties and at Hackman about expanding that footprint into other studio spaces. So we've been...
So that's the strategy, studio. So are you expecting much business from the outside, or are you really relying on
No,
studios?
we are from the outside. We still, you know, now that like we're all meeting in person and this feels really good, we are doing a lot of events and people are, you know, meeting and slowly kind of coming out of their like, you know, safety of their homes. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that we invested in also was, you know, much like we are consuming media over these past few years, like we're just like binging things, right? And I was thinking about like, how is food arriving at people's homes, right? It's just like, you go on your phone and you click it and it magically appears. So we invested in technology also kind of to just make it the streamlined process of like, I want to eat that yummy thing that Food and Bounty makes, and now I can just click and it'll kind of magically, I mean, you know, we're cooking really hard and fast.
So go through that. So you invested in, what kind of technology did you invest in? How does it work?
Well, I'll just tell you that prior, it was like, you know, you call and you kind of place an order and somebody would write it down. And I was just thinking about that user experience. It's like, there's too many steps, right? Like, I don't want to go through all that. I want, like, you know, we have Uber Eats and we have all these apps. So we invested for ourselves in our own website. And now for the 2 locations, it's like, you know, pretty pictures, yummy food, great description, click, point, order, and come get it, or it'll get delivered to you. So it's really kind of changed. Because we are inside the studio, it now gives us accessibility to people outside of the studio, and the food will go to them. So it's been
So
really
do you
helpful.
finance that expansion out of pocket, or is the landlord providing you?
Yes, we do that. It's like, I mean, we do have wonderful partners. Our landlords have been really helpful with like tenant improvements, and, you know, even over COVID, they've been very, you know, gracious with giving us, you know, breaks, because we were closed for 8 months.
Oh my gosh.
Right, so
How'd you survive that?
Well, our pivot was, I was like, okay, so we do parties, so like, let's make the party go to them. And so we were just shipping parties, kind of. It was like, we want to do a happy hour. Great, yeah, we can do that. We were just shipping everything. I went to art school, and I was like a packaging major, so this really kind of kicked in. You know, 25 years later, I was like, yes, I could ship that, and it won't break. So I kind of learned how to do that. We also became kind of a fulfillment house. People were like, hey, can you do like candles? And I was like, yes, of course. Let me Google that really quick. Thank God for like Google University, because I was like, yes, we could do all of that. And, you know, but technology played such a big part of it, too. It's like, you know, when you're shipping 200 boxes, at first, I was like manually like John Smith at 123 Main Street. And then I finally realized that no, there's a way easier way. You just like integrate a spreadsheet and it magically like prints everything out. And so it really helped me. And now that I got the knack down, we're meeting in person again. And so I'm not really shipping any boxes. But if you guys need me to ship you a box, I can totally do this.
Handle that. So what do you expect? What percentage you expect in-house seating come to the restaurant versus
I'm really
delivery?
Seeing a shift in, again, how we, you know, are consuming food, much like how we are consuming media, and we're doing it from the comfort of our home. And so my investment in technology was for that. People are going out, but not, I don't find as frequent as we were prior to all of this. And so, you know, people are still working from home. You know, while these studios are taking over all the space, people aren't really back at work yet. And so we're like, okay, you know what? You got to eat. Right. So I'll get it to you. You know, I'll get that food to you.
So you also have a show on Disney, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was
But that means you're getting the word out beyond just what you can do on social media. I mean, the hundreds of thousands of people that are watching that show are now learning about you.
Well, so I was cooking for this show called That's Fresh, and now my company, Food and Bounty, it's real food, real fresh. So I kind of took that. But I had my target audience was about 8 months old to about 2 years old, and then we found that. So I was like cooking for little kids, but we found that kids are watching TV with their parents, and so these kids I will meet a 16-year-old, I'm now dating myself, but they were like, hey, you're the lady from the TV, and now they're like, they're grown-ups, and they, you know, they remember my show, and they remember, you know, and their parents cooked these recipes for them and stuff, and so a lot of the recipes that I cooked on the show are now at my restaurant, and you know, there's a little bit of like Disney magic that happens, and you know, I'm quite proud of it, and I'm quite proud of these kids who have, you know, grown up to, you know, they know how to make like tomato sauce, which is a life lesson. Like you need to know how, you know, or like, so they're learning about like fresh cooking and like where your food comes from and stuff like that. So it's been
well, the point is also fresh. I mean, and healthy.
I grew up at a time where that was like the norm, right? Like everybody had a garden, you know, and so I'm trying to make that a conversation. Like, of course, like what else would it be? It's not organic, and but it is. It's local, and also I'm really proud at our Sunset Gower location. We have these aeroponic towers, and we're growing over 1,000 edible plants that make their way onto your plate. And it's you know, it's organic, it's fresh, and it's, you know, I love telling this story. The studio is very old, and right outside of the studio where the garden is now was a smoking section. And I was like, I'm gonna call the health department on myself. Like, this is awful. But the studio was really kind and gracious, and we built this like really robust, beautiful garden that we use, and I'm, you know, bringing that to my other locations. So that's another kind of like innovation and technology that we're using and bringing to other locations. Yeah.
Well, people often want to know what Pink's has done to sort of build a line, build its business all these years. And we really capitalized on, first of all, our anniversaries. We would do chili dogs for charity. And we would invite celebrities to come each night, and we would make a contribution to the celebrity of the charity of the celebrity's choice. And what happened is that television stations picked that up. So instead of just kind of, you know, targeting it on social media, we wanted to go out to audiences that were in the hundreds of thousands, and we found out that Chili Dogs for Charity did it. And so then people, you know, most small businesses, like, you rely on the first 3 to 5 miles around you. That's sort of your market area. But we wanted to figure out how we could get out to Ventura County and Inland Empire and bring people into Hollywood and find out what Pink's was all about. So we, like if we have our 80th anniversary, maybe some of you have seen it, we would sell our hot dogs for 80 cents for 80 minutes. Yep. For 8 days, and 100% would go to a charity, and television stations would pick that up because they're very interested in philanthropy. They're very interested in doing something for the community. And then what happened, what came along was the Travel Channel and the Food Channel came along. So to capitalize on all the cable stations, we said, let's call everybody. And in the early days, my wife would work the left side of the radio station to the right side of the radio station, calling every broadcaster and saying, we will bring hot dogs to your station for free because we love you.
That's great. Nice.
And then they would say, well, wait a minute, how long have you been in business? We said, well, we've been in business 75 years. Oh, we got to tell that story. And a lot of people heard the story how my parents, you know, they initially bought a hot dog cart for $50. And they opened it up with a 100-yard extension cord that fired up that hot dog cart for the first 2 years. And the landlord raised our rent from $15 a month to $25 a month. And Bank of America took pity on us, gave us the money to buy the property. And of course, we all have landlords and rent. And in our case, we were able to buy the property in 1941 for $4,000. That's what land on La Brea was going for. And a lot of people think anything that's been around for 83 years is an archaeological find in the city because everything's new. So at any rate, that's, you know, the combination of capitalizing on cable and it's a family business.
Well, I think we need to get you on Pop Talk because you are a local celebrity. I need to get a pop of you. We need to partner together. This is the networking we're talking about, right?
I love it.
We need to do this.
All right. Well, that is our small business panel. I hope you enjoyed it. Wonderful entrepreneurs.
Thank you.
And I'll turn it over to the next panel.